In this session, we're going to focus on a really cool question that came in. It's one of those questions that it seems simple on the surface, but once you dive into it, it's very detailed, very intricate, and really interesting. So it's right up my alley. We're going to jump into it today. The question is, what is my higher self? And if you're new to this channel, this is just one of many videos that you're going to find that are either instructional on how to tap into your intuition, or based a little bit more in how does all of this work, right? So click the subscribe button, make sure to hit that notification bell, and then you'll get all the videos as they roll on in. When it comes to teaching spiritual concepts and tools and understanding around intuition, for me, it's easiest to teach through analogy, through examples, through ideas and concepts, because we're not really talking about the material world, are we? We're talking about that which is in between the material world, in essence. We're talking about things that aren't in form, but sometimes it helps to create analogies in the space of form in order for us to understand how all of this works. And I'm going to do a bit of that today when we talk about this question. The question is, what is my higher self? Now, you can imagine that we can go really, really deep. So I'm going to try to only go slightly deep, but I am going to go there because if you can kind of map out sort of this general idea, then that's going to open up doors for you to think about more concepts and more concepts. And one thing that I have found excruciatingly valuable when it comes to opening up your intuition is staying open to concepts and possibilities. The minute you shut down and say, well, nope, this is it, and that's all there is to it, that's where you stop growing, you stop learning, you stop expanding into more and more understandings and deeper levels of intuition. A quick example of this. I met somebody that said they were working with a guru, and the guru said everyone has only 2 spiritual guides, and that's it. No more, no less, and those 2 guides are with them their entire life. And all I could think is, that's so limiting. That's so limiting. And what about the other 6 guides that are hanging around going, yeah, well, they're not going to talk to me because they don't think I'm here. So we have to stay open to these concepts. Now let's dive into this one. I'm going to map something out in an analogy, in a symbolic way, not an actual way. Because again, what we're talking about here is not form. What we're talking about here is, without structure, put it that way. But I'm going to give you an analogy, and I'm going to start here when it comes to trying to talk about what is our higher self. What I want you to do is I want you to start by thinking of your higher self as a giant ball of light, right? On the other side, giant ball of light on the other side, not here on Earth. On the other side, you have a bunch of higher selves near each other, right? Some are closer to others. They're all represented in this analogy as a ball of light, and they're connected. What I want you to do is think about a spider web, but a spider web that goes in all different directions, multi-directional spider web. And at every intersection where that web meets is a ball of light, is a higher self. You're in there somewhere. Your higher self is in there. And all the balls of light, all the other higher selves that are closest to you are your soulmates. These are the individuals, when we have a life with them, that we're really close. These are the people in our lifetimes that when something happens to them, even though we've come down here and we're in a physical body, if something happens to them, even if we're not around them at the time, physically, we're still going to feel it. Why? Because think of it in terms of their higher self shakes the web. And if you're very close to them on the web, you're going to get that intuitive alert. Now, you've got your higher self, and in this multidimensional web, the people around you are your soulmates, right? The ones a little further out are still going to be in your soul group. They might not be your soulmate. They might not be the ones that you're closest to in each of these lifetimes, but they're still in your soul group. Now, beyond that, you might have people that are kind of in your soul group. You meet them once or twice in a lifetime, but they're not constantly interacting with you on a regular basis. They're a little bit further away on this spider web that we've created. The people that are further out, you might never meet them in a lifetime. But the closer they get, the more interaction. The closer they get, the more you feel bonded. Some people will even use the words twin flame. I'm going to tell you right now, not a fan. You can check out another video of mine on that one. Twin flame can invite people into feeling broken, and I don't think that that's a positive path for a lifetime, but I am a solid believer in soulmates. I'm a solid believer in those that are closest to you and the ultimate bond between the two of you on that spider web. So what we have is we have the higher self, the ball of light, multidimensional spider web. And at every intersection is another ball of light. Those that are closest to you are your soul group. Now, a lifetime, what is that? We take a chunk of the light out of our ball of light and we throw it down to earth. We have a lifetime. When we're done, we let go of the physical body. We return back to our higher self and reunite. And there's a couple components in here that I think can be really important to discuss. The entire higher self doesn't come down. Just a little chunk of it does. And as a matter of fact, multiple chunks of light in your higher self can go down to earth and have different experiences, or even to other planets. There's really no limitation, other galaxies, planets, dimensions, etc. We're going to say experiences, which leads me into the next concept. We aren't here to learn. I know we've been taught that for so long, right? Most of us were raised saying, well, we're here to learn. We're here to learn lessons. We're here to reincarnate, to come back as a better person the next time around. Yeah, all of those types of concepts. And while those concepts in general are fantastic, they help us to be better people. I get it, right? But the other side doesn't function on linear time. This means that our higher self is not functioning on the same timeline as we are. This means that that little chunk of light that we pulled out of the higher self and threw down here to have a body and a life, that is coming from the other side. Our higher self already knows everything that's happened to us and everything that will happen to us. That life for our higher self happens in an instant. And to say that our higher self needs to learn just doesn't really make sense. Learning is a structure that happens on linear time. And if we go deeper into it, learning is an actual experience. Our higher self doesn't need to learn anything, but it wants to experience things. So we're not here to learn, we're here to experience. And I'm going to elaborate on this a little bit more, but I want to take a little bit of time here to talk about this concept in a helpful way. When we stop holding on to this concept of we're here to learn, we're here to learn, we're here to learn, and we step into the concept of we're here to have experiences that we can only have on linear time, this is what the higher self is looking for. It shifts our understanding and it shifts our mental health, really, in a sense, because this concept of, what have I learned? I'll use an example, make up an example. Let's say I'm a kid and I'm really mean to somebody and they punch me in the mouth. Let's say I'm a teenager, because that would be more accurate. And they punch me in the mouth and I walk away from that experience and I say, well, what is it that I have to learn? That question invites me into, number one, I'm not good. Number two, I have room to grow to be better because I'm not, the best. And so it's self-judgment already. And I'm also thinking about the future. Like, what am I going to be? Have I learned my lesson? Have I learned? So all of those concepts are very limiting, very human, and can hold us down really emotionally. Also, all of those learning concepts keep us in the past and they keep us in the future. They do not bring us into center. They don't bring us into alignment. They don't bring us into the moment. Now, teenager, I get socked in the mouth, hit. I go home and I sit down. If I ask myself a different question, it's a completely different game. If I ask myself, did I have that experience? Did I learn? Did I learn my lesson? I don't know. I have to wait to find out. That's in the future, not in the moment. Did I have the experience? Yeah, I absolutely did have the experience. That's in the moment. Now I have a choice. Do I want to have that experience again? It's all about choice. It's all about understanding. We are naturally good. We are created from unconditional love. To say that we have to learn, to say that we are less than, That's not what this experience is about. To gain experience is to gain knowledge and to gain understanding. That is a far more productive way of holding yourself and also staying in center, which in the end is the goal. Now, let's get back to the higher self. Okay, ball of light. Take a chunk out of that ball of light. Throw it down to earth. We run around and have a body. On earth, we are in linear time. And again, like I said, the higher self knows everything that's already happened and it's already going to happen and really wants to collect experiences from a linear time format. So we're down here, right? We're going to know what certain things feel like because we're in linear time. When we're done, we come back, like I said, our body stays here on earth. We reunite with our ball of light on the other side. Now, when it comes to, this is a popular question that I get when I talk about this concept. Well, then if a medium is talking to my grandmother, is she really talking to my grandmother or is she talking to my grandmother's higher self? A medium is talking to your grandmother's higher self, but it's translating through the concept and the experience that you know here on earth, which is that of your grandmother. So when your life is you let go of the body, your life is done, you go back over to the other side, you reconnect with your higher self, it is you. It is you. You've just had this incredible experience. The highs, the lows, the good, the bad. We do need the bad in order to have the good. There's no nice way to talk about that concept because some of the bad, especially here on earth, can be very bad and very, very painful. So there's a lot of experiences all across the spectrum, good and bad, and we collect those experiences and we go back to the other side. So the higher self is the highest form of you. It is your hub. It is your center where all communication happens. You can communicate with your higher self. Some of your guides, too, are very close to you on that spider web. Their higher selves might not have come down here in this lifetime, but they're watching over you, right? So, because they're close to you on the web. Your higher self is the purest form of you without linear time. And I'll give you one more analogy that'll help you kind of grab on fully, because sometimes looking at it a couple different ways is helpful. So when we pass, we have three bodies. We've got the physical body, the programming body, and the spiritual body. Physical body, we know what that is. Spiritual body, that's connected to our higher self. That's a piece of our higher self. But our programming body, that middle body, that is your mind here on linear time. That is who you are based in linear time. That is you who's anxious or excited or looking forward to something or looking back on something. So your programming body is the mind that you carry through this experience that here on earth. So when we pass, we first let go of the physical body. Then we cross into the in-between and we go through a transition. We go through a review. And in that in-between, that transition, that review, we release the programming body. We release the mind that is connected to linear time. It's at that point then that we cross over to the other side and we are, again, the purest form of ourselves. Our spiritual body, which is that little chunk of light, returns back to the higher self. So what is your higher self? It's an amazing, amazing ball of unconditional love. And it comes down here, goes to other places, has a bunch of experiences. If you're curious about the transition coming down here or crossing over to the other side, I would highly encourage you to look into my crossing over course. It's like 6 hours in length. It's a big course, but it goes through a lot of detail on that whole transition process, on what it is to be a spirit going from earth back to the other side. I know a lot of people are very curious about that, and me, I've done crossing over work for so long. I don't want to age myself in this one, but for so long that there's a lot of really helpful information in that. So if you want to go deeper, that's probably a great place to start. In the meantime, sit with what your higher self is. Meditate into it. Sit with your intuition. Ask your guide to tell you a little bit more about it. You're going to find out some really fascinating stuff. All the best stuff happens with your direct connection right to source. Source, your guides, and your higher self. If you want to dive deeper into soul groups, guide communication, all that kind of good stuff, check out this next video. It's going to be a great follow-up.